The Catholic Church's teaching on immigration is not a political stance. It is a moral and theological truth rooted in scripture, tradition, and the magisterial teachings of the Church. But this truth is often misunderstood, manipulated, or ignored. Many today attempt to weaponize Christ's words, twisting them into arguments that demand open borders, while others reject entirely the Church's call to charity and justice for the immigrant. The truth lies in neither extreme. The Church calls us to both justice and mercy, law and charity, order and compassion. The Catechism of the Catholic Church, in paragraph 2241, lays the foundation. The more prosperous nations are obliged, to the extent they are able, to welcome the foreigner in search of security and the means of livelihood, which he cannot find in his country of origin. Public authorities should see to it that the natural right is respected that places a guest under the protection of those who receive him. Political authorities, for the sake of the common good for which they are responsible, may make the exercise of the right to immigrate subject to various juridical conditions, especially with regard to the immigrant's duties toward their country of adoption. Immigrants are obliged to respect with gratitude the material and spiritual heritage of the country that receives them, to obey its laws, and to assist in carrying civic burdens. This is not a call for reckless, open borders. It is not a rejection of national sovereignty. It is an insistence that those who govern have a duty to balance their responsibility to the common good with an obligation to aid those in genuine need. Pope John Paul II, in his message for World Migration Day in 1996, stated, "Illegal immigration should be prevented, but it is also essential to combat vigorously the criminal activities which exploit illegal immigrants. The solution is not only opening all borders, but also ensuring that migration occurs in a way that respects both the dignity of the migrant and the laws of the receiving nation. To welcome the stranger does not mean dissolving national identity or ignoring the legitimate need for order. It means responding to real human suffering with Christian love while upholding justice. And justice requires that immigration be orderly, that it not harm the citizens of a nation, and that those who enter a country do so with the intent to respect its laws, its culture, and its people. The Church has never taught that borders are immoral. In fact, St. Augustine recognized the necessity of borders in maintaining order within society, stating, "Order is the distribution which allots things equal and unequal, each to its own place." Some attempt to compare the Holy Family's flight into Egypt with modern illegal immigration, but this analogy falls apart under scrutiny. Joseph, Mary, and Jesus never left the Roman Empire. They moved from one Roman territory to another, under the governance of the same political structure. They were not violating any laws, nor were they imposing upon a foreign nation. Their journey was not one of seeking economic gain, but one of survival from Herod's massacre. It was a migration within their own broader nation. When Christ said, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me," Matthew 25:40, he was speaking about personal responsibility. This is a call for Christians to act with compassion, to see the suffering of others, and respond with love. But it is not a command to dismantle nations or disregard laws. True charity is not enabling lawlessness. It is providing real aid where it is needed, while still upholding truth and order. St. Thomas Aquinas also speaks to the balance of charity and justice in governance. Man's relations with foreigners are twofold, peaceful and hostile, and in directing both kinds of relation, virtue must be observed. The Church's teaching is not always easy. It requires us to reject extremes and embrace a truth that is often uncomfortable. But just because something is hard does not mean it is wrong. Love and order are not at war with one another. They are united in the wisdom of Christ and His Church. And we, as faithful Catholics, are called to embrace both.